Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to look at how to find the equation of a line if you know the slope and a point on the line. Let's take a look at an example here. Say we wanted to find the equation of a line if the slope is 2 and it passes through the point 3, 7. We can start here by plotting this point 3, 7 on my graph here. So you'll remember this 3, the first value in my point, that represents my x-coordinate. And the second value here, the 7, represents my y-coordinate. Right, so if I try graphing this on this graphing this point here, I'm going to start where x is equal to 3 and then go all the way up to where y is equal to 7. And this is where I am going to plot my point. Something else we know from this question is that the slope is 2. Now, remember the slope, or the rate of change, that's equal to the rise over run. So if the slope here is equal to 2, that means we're going to go up 2 over 1, right? Since the rate of change is 2, the slope is 2. So from this point, we're going to go up 2 and then over 1. And that's going to tell you where the next point on the line is. And now what we can do is we can draw a line, right? We can draw a line through these points. So I'm going to draw a line through the points here. And something you might notice by looking at this line is that it crosses the y-axis here at 1. So that means the y-intercept of this line is 1. And now we have enough information to find the equation of this line, right? Because we know the slope is 2 and the y-intercept is 1. Now remember, the equation of a line is given by this form. Y is equal mx plus b, where m is the slope, or the rate of change, and b is the y-intercept. So here, since the slope is 2, that means I'm going to put 2 in for m. And since my y-intercept is 1, I'm going to put 1 in for b. So the equation of my line is y is equal 2x plus 1. Let's look at part B here. So in part B, I want to find the equation now if the slope is negative 2 and it passes through the point 4, negative 3. Now, there's another way we can find the equation of a line, right? We don't have to graph. Another way we can find the equation of this line here that represents part B is by plugging it into this equation, right? If we plug in what we know into the equation, we can use that to find our y-intercept. And if we know the y-intercept, then we'll have enough information to write the equation of the line. So let's take a look here. Let's take a look at this one. So I want to find the equation if the slope is negative 2 and it passes through the point 4, negative 3. So what do we know? So first of all, we know m, right? We know m is equal to negative 2. And we know the point is 4, negative 3. Right? So when x here is equal to 4, y is equal to negative 3. what we can do is we can plug this information in to our equation of a line. And we can use that to find the equation, right? Because look, we know when x is equal to 4, y is equal to 3, right? So we can plug that information in, right? Y is equal to negative 3. M, our slope, is equal to negative 2. X here is 4. And B, that's what we're trying to figure out. Now, all we have to do is we need to solve this equation for B. And let's see how we can do that. So here, we see negative 2 times 4. Negative 2 times 4 is just negative 8. We have negative 3 here on the left, and then plus B on the right. Now, to get B by itself, all I need to do to solve for this is I need to think, what do I need to add to negative 8 here to get negative 3? Well, you might see I would have to add 5 to negative 8 here to get negative 3. But if you're not sure about that, if you're not sure why, what you can do is you can add 8 to both sides. Right? I can add 8 to get rid of this negative 8 on the right-hand side. Right? And when I do that, here I'm going to have negative 3 plus 8. Negative 3 plus 8 is just 5. So we can see B, our y-intercept, is equal to 5. And now I can write the equation of my line. My m value is equal to negative 2. And my b value we saw was equal to 5. And there we go. So you can use either of these two methods to find the equation of a line. Right? But and the reason why this second method that I showed you is useful is in cases where it's hard to see the y-intercept from the graph. So say you're graphing some points on the line, and then you work backwards to try to find the y-intercept, and it's really hard to see what the y-intercept. This is why doing it this way, plugging it into the equation, can be useful. Right? So these are two ways we can find the equation of a line if you're given the slope and a point on the line. Now, I want to look at one more example where we have a fraction here, 2 over 3, as the slope. And we want to find the equation of a line where the slope is 2 over 3 and it passes through the point 3, 1. So we looked at two different ways we can do this. Again, one of the ways, the first method we looked at, is by graphing it out. So let's try that here. So let's graph the point 3, 1. Again, this point means when x is equal to 3, y is equal to 1. So there's my point. The slope is equal to 2 over 3. Remember, slope means rise over run. So what this tells us basically is when we go 2 up, we have to go 3 to the right. So on this point here, if I go 2 up, I have to go 3 to the right. And now all I have to do is I can just draw a line through the points to find what the y-intercept is. And we can see that the y-intercept here is going to be negative 1. So we have enough information here to find my equation, to write my equation. The equation of my line is just going to be y is equal to mx plus b. And then we're just going to plug in our values for m and b into the equation here. M is just 2 over 3, that's our slope. And b, we saw, was -1. And there we go. Again, we saw another way we can do this. Method 2 was just plugging this information all into our equation. So let's try doing that. Right, because we know the slope is 2 over 3, right? Right, we know the slope is 2 over 3, and we know a point on the line. Right, and this point tells us, again, when x is equal to 3, y is equal to 1. So we can plug that all in to help us find the equation. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so our y value here is going to be 1. Our m value is 2 over 3. Our x value is going to be 3. And b is what we're trying to find. Now we can simplify this. 2 over 3 times 3. Well, let's see. 3, if you'll remember, 3 is the same thing as 3 over 1. And 2 over 3 times 3 over 1, well, to do this, to multiply this together, we just have to multiply the numerators here and the denominators together. 2 times 3, that gives you 6. 3 times 1 gives you 3. Six divided by 3 is just equal to 2. And now we just have to think about 2 plus what gives you 1? Well, 2 minus 1 gives you 1. So b has to be equal to -1. And now we have enough information to write the equation of our line. So that's how you can find the equation of a line if you know the slope and a point on the line.